Are you a wedding photographer looking to grow your revenue with high-end album upgrades and in-person or virtual sales? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use the slideshow feature in Fundy Designer, the secret weapon behind the biggest album and wall art sales that we make at Asset. I'm going to walk you through insider tactics that we've never shared publicly before, so stick with me because this is not your typical slideshow tutorial. My name is Makayla Jade, the founder and CEO of Asset, where we design and sell albums for other photographers. That means that our team is working all day, every day, inside Fundy, handling the entire IPS process virtually. We design the albums, present them in real time with clients over Zoom, and help them fall in love with printed products. So whether you're meeting face-to-face or running a virtual sales call, either way, this process helps clients emotionally connect to the story of their day and say yes to meaningful upgrades like extra pages, custom covers, and even 2-volume set. Now, creating the perfect slideshow actually starts way before you even open up Fundy. It begins with how you cull your photos. One of the biggest mistakes we see photographers make is thinking that showing more photos equals more money. But this couldn't be farther from the truth. My rule of thumb is if you zoom out and look at all of the photos from a wedding or session in a thumbnail view and you can't tell the difference between a set of 3 or more, that means you have too many in that set. Those photos will start to compete with one another instead of complement one another. And when that happens, the client becomes overwhelmed, decision fatigue kicks in, and your sales suffer. So remember, only import and present the photos that you know your client is going to love. Tighten up your edit, curate with purpose. You'll thank yourself later when the sale feels seamless and the client is obsessed. So I'm inside Fundy now, and I want to make sure I prepare an album design and a few wall art options. We include both of these. Another mistake that I see photographers make is using slideshows that only show individual images. That doesn't sell albums. What sells albums is showing the layout of the album, the spreads, the pacing, the storytelling. When the clients see the spreads as individual chapters or paragraphs in their story, they understand how the story is told, and they naturally start to picture that book in their hands. It changes how they experience their own wedding photos. At Asset, for weddings, we almost always pre-design 2 volumes because most labs will cap albums at around 40 or 50 layouts, and we don't want our couples to stop there. We want to normalize big albums in multiple volumes. And truly, don't your clients deserve to have big, amazing albums? In order to do this well, you can't just show your clients a 200-page album because they'll assume that it'll all fit into one book. You have to show them where the volumes will be separated and help them visualize how cool that would look in their home, like a stack of designer books on their coffee table. So here's where it gets fun. I import PNG mock-ups of our album covers. We create these in Canva or Photoshop, things like a leather cover with the couple's name or a linen option with a monogram. I drag these into the slideshow sequence to help clients visualize what their album will actually look like. Fundy lets you layer transparent PNGs over a photo, or you can use them as full slides, which is awesome. We usually try and pick a cover color selection and a font that matches the style of their wedding, like the color of the bridesmaids' dresses or the font set that was used on their invitation. So this feels super custom. The goal here is to help them fall in love with the finish, not just the photos. Volume 1 would have everything leading up to and including the ceremony, getting ready, portraits, first look, vows. Volume 2 starts with the reception and takes them through the end of the night. We label each one accordingly because it not only organizes the story, but it also creates this excitement around the idea of having 2 albums. You don't want to just spring this on your clients as an upsell. You want to present it as the expected way to preserve the full experience. Fundy will also let you put a simpler page break or title slide with just the couple's names and wedding date if you'd like. This is just taking it to the next level. We've found that showing these album cover previews has had a huge impact. It makes the customizations feel real. Instead of just talking about a nicer material or foil stamping, we're actually showing it. The more real it feels, the more likely they are to choose it. The clients will often say something like, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that," or "Wow, that would look amazing on our coffee table," and boom, they're sold. Once the albums are designed and the covers are customized, we go into the slideshow module and click Create Slideshow. Now I'll select to add an album, and I'll also add some wall art mockups to show at the end, because why stop with just the album? Let's let the client truly envision all the possibilities. These spreads will play sequentially, and what we're really doing here is helping the client see what their printed album could look like. Not one photo at a time, but as an entire story as it would live in print. And then ending with a few options for statement pieces and how their photos can be displayed on their wall will really wow them and give them even a little FOMO before we dive into making the selection. Okay, let's talk music. I click on the music dropdown and select Wedding Song 2. This is one of our absolute favorites. It's warm, emotional, and it just builds right. You can feel them go back to the emotions of their day. This is powerful. We've seen couples tear up more times than I can even count. That emotional impact directly ties to the value that they place on the album. If they feel something, they're far more likely to invest in preserving that feeling. Now, I can check the duration of the song and the slideshow. If you want, you can hit Match Music, and then Fundy will adjust the pacing automatically. For spreads, I like between 2.5 to 3 seconds of display time. That feels cinematic. It's quick enough to keep things moving along, but also slow enough to let everything sink in. From there, I save this whole setup as a preset. You can click Save Slideshow Preset and then name it something like Wedding Reveal Appointment and reuse this structure every time. It saves your song, timing, logo slide, and any intro or outro that you want. It makes your whole process consistent and way faster. Speaking of outros, let's add your studio branding. We usually add a closing slide with our photographer partner's logo. You can easily drop a PNG of your studio logo into Fundy and set it to show for a few seconds at the end. If you're doing virtual sales and you decide to export the slideshow for clients later, this ensures that your branding is baked in and gives it a polished finish. We actually include the slideshows in our upgrade collection so clients can put a digital version of their finished album design online, and clients go nuts for this. It literally costs you nothing more than just a few minutes of your time to export. When we're ready to present, we load Fundy into Client View. Whether you're meeting on Zoom or in person, you start the slideshow full screen with the music on and just let it play. This is so important. Do not talk over it. If we're on Zoom, we even turn our cameras off for the slideshow so they aren't distracted by our faces during the screen share. Let the imagery and the music do the work. The emotional connection builds on its own, and you don't want to interrupt that. Once it ends, you can take a moment. Clients usually smile, sigh, or even tear up. And then you can gently move on with questions like, what part did you love most? Or could you see that album on your coffee table? From there, we guide the conversation. We explain that they can personalize the design, but that most couples keep nearly all of it. And we talk about options for covers, duplicate parent albums, wall art, and even thank you notes. And because they've seen it, these upgrades feel like a natural continuation of what they just experienced. Now, while most photographers think that the slideshow is only meant for the open to the ordering appointment, at Asset, we don't just use it to wow the clients once. We actually use the slideshow as a way to reinforce value of the album a second or even third time throughout the appointment if the client feels stuck and we're trying to bring them back to the emotional attachment that they have to the photos. If we notice that the clients are starting to over-customize or nitpick the design, we will ask if they want to take a break and watch the slideshow again to see how everything comes together. This is insanely effective at getting clients back on track to what matters most and stop them from just trying to take more pages out or butcher the beautiful design that you work so hard on. That's how we run our IPS slideshows at Asset, virtually, at scale, and in a way that consistently drives bigger album sales. You don't have to be pushy, you just use good storytelling and smart presentation. If you're not doing this yet, I promise it will completely change the way your clients respond to their images and dramatically improve your bottom line. Try it for your next session and let the design speak for itself. And if you loved all these tips, but you just do not love the idea of doing all the designing and selling yourself, feel free to reach out to our team where we can handle all of this for you. Now, go knock out those IPS sessions and make some jaw-dropping albums. You've got this.